Hello everyone. So today's video is a 2-for-1. I'm going to have two cards. So for my first card I used the pegboard cover-up dynamics from My Favorite Things, and I die cut some smooth white cardstock with that. And then I'm using the Tool Time dynamics along with a few different colors of cardstock plus some of this Ranger silver foil cardstock. So I lined up my dies on the cardstock before trimming down what I was going to need and get everything lined up at once in my big shot so I can do as little passes as possible just to make things go faster. So I love this little set because it's got extra pieces so that you don't have to trim, like die cut and then trim and layer and all that kind of stuff. It's already got the extra pieces of dies, so it makes it way faster. So ran that through a couple times to get all the pieces I needed. And then it's just a matter of adhering the pieces together. So I decided to go with kind of like a red and black tool set. So just adhering the handles into place and then like the top of the hammer and those sorts of things, and really quick, really easy. So, and really fun. So yeah, this is a great set for the guys, of course. So I'm just adhering the handles on top of all the foil cardstock pieces so that all the metal areas are just this foil cardstock. And then I had originally planned on die cutting the MFT cork with the same pegboard cover-up dynamics, but I'll show in a minute here. There's just the pressure of it actually made the cork like spread out farther, so you can't really layer it underneath the cardstock because the holes aren't in the same place. So since I still really wanted to use the cork, I just cut a piece of the cork slightly larger than the cardstock and just matted it there behind. So not quite as accurate because the holes aren't in place, but you can see here I just lined it up there. You can see how much bigger it comes out of the die cut machine because just the pressure from the machine just makes that cork just spread right out. So I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to use it on the second card because of course waste not want not. So now I'm just going to finish off this card, and I decided I didn't want to use any sentiments on the front of the card. I just wanted to line all the tools up like a pegboard and have them kind of in place how I wanted them. So I kind of did a rough layout there and then started adhering everything into place, and then using all these little pieces that there's two pieces of dies that come in the set that I die cut with steel gray cardstock so that it looks like, of course, all the tools are kind of hanging here on the pegboard. So really fun, really easy. You can definitely make space for a sentiment if you wanted to, but I thought this would be great to use as not just a Father's Day card, it could be a happy birthday card, thinking of you, pretty much any occasion sort of card. So once I was happy with everything lined up the way it was, I'm going to do my card base, which is again smooth white cardstock. I'd cut it to 4¼ by 11 inches and then scored it 5½, so it's a top folding A2 size card. I'm just going to adhere that with my Tombow Mono Multi. So get that all adhered, and then on the inside of the card, I had just used some horizontal stitch stripes dynamics, and I had die cut a piece of craft cardstock. And FYI, that's what you could do on the front if you wanted that look of a more realistic pegboard, is you could die cut several layers of craft cardstock and adhere that behind the white, and that'd give a more realistic look. But I had my heart set on using the cork, so that's why I did what I did. And then I had die cut a few more tools just from the scraps I had left over from die cutting the ones from the front. So I was able to use those up and then just kind of adhere those to the inside of the card, and that's all there was to it. So perfect for, yeah, Father's Day, birthday, thinking of you, thank you, anything like that. So an all occasion masculine card. So once I was done with that one, I'm going to go on to my second card and use up that piece of cork that I had die cut for the first card. So you can see here what I did, and I wanted to use the new rectangle frames dynamics, and I decided rather than having the cork peek around the edge like I did on the first card, I wanted to kind of hide it there because it would just be easier. So I just used a pen to kind of trace around the dynamic and then just trimmed off along the inside of the pen line so that it won't be peeking out when I make the actual card. And for this card, I'm actually using a sketch from the latest My Favorite Things Wednesday sketch challenge, and I always link to that in the blog post, and the blog post will be linked directly below the video. So once I was done with that, I'm going to run through my big shot again, several more dies. So I've got the large rectangle frames and then the to the point dynamics, which I just stuck in the center there because I wanted them both from brown cardstock. And then I've got a fishtail flags die, and then one of the little letters die. There are two of them actually, the D and the A. So I ran that through my Big Shot, got all the pieces out, and then I'm just using a pierced rectangles dynamics on some primitive cream cardstock, and then the D again, so I've got all three letters. And then I'm using primitive cream cardstock again for this card. This time it's cut to 5.5 by 8.5 inches so that it's a top folding A2 card again, just horizontal. And then I've got my new favorite linen background stamp, which I inked up with factory green ink. And then I took a piece of scrap paper and just took off the first stamp impression because the ink was too dark for what I wanted. I just wanted to stamp it on the inside of the card, and it would be too dark and you wouldn't be able to see any writing very well with a ballpoint pen. So by taking off that first layer of ink, it just lightened it up a bit, and then pressed that onto the inside of the card, and now I'm going to go back onto the outside of the card. So again, just Tombow Monomulti, just a thin line of glue. I use a fair bit of glue, but I don't like squeeze the tube so it's not oozing out in between the holes and creating a big mess. Just enough so that it's adhered really well to the card. So, and you can see I did a horrible job of cutting, but that doesn't matter because the frame is going to completely cover that up. So again, a decent amount of glue so that I make sure it sticks to the cork, and slide that into place. And then for this little fishtail flag, I just marked with my finger where the top of the frame there was, and then used my paper trimmer to trim that off so it's got a straight edge. And then grabbed the linen background again and inked it up with that same factory green ink, and this is factory green cardstock. So press that onto there just to give it a little bit of texture. And then that little rectangle that I die cut from the primitive cream cardstock, I'm going to stamp with some stamps from the same To the Point stamp set. So I'm inking up the Best stamp with Hot Fudge ink. So getting that lined up on my block, I'm going to ink that up and stamp that first. I always find it works better to stamp, when you're lining up stamps like this, to stamp the one on the bottom first, and then it's easier to line up everything above it, kind of stack it that way. So got that, and then the UR I'm inking up with Night Shift blue ink and stamping that. I'd sized this out before I die cut that rectangle to make sure that those would fit on there. So getting everything lined up, and again, like I said, I'm using the latest Wednesday sketch challenge. I just flipped it onto its side, and yeah, really, really fun. Just kind of gives you a jumping off point when it comes to card making. So got those adhered into place, and then I'm stamping the pointing finger from the To the Point stamp with whipped cream pigment ink onto the Hot Fudge cardstock. And then I always hold cardstock like this with my tweezers because there's such a narrow little spot, so I can quickly just heat set that and get that kind of lined up into place where I was gonna want to put it. And then the letters, I just adhered along the top here of the banner. So again, just Tombow Monomulti, I adhered the two D's first on each side. That way I can get the A kind of lined up in between them. And then I decided I didn't really like how that die cut was looking. It was just too dark. I don't know, I just didn't like it. So I die cut it again from some primitive cream cardstock and stamped it with Hot Fudge ink this time. And I like that a lot more. So got that stamped, and I'm just going to adhere that into place so it's pointing at the sentiment. And of course, as always, waste not, want not. So I'm not going to waste the one I had die cut and stamped already. So I'm just going to adhere that to the inside of the card. So it's going to kind of be pointing at the message you decide to write to the inside. So yeah, that is all there was to it. So as always, I will post a link below to my blog post with all the pictures and the info and links to all the supplies used. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.